Hello there, I'm the student and I'm proud to be able to show you a 30-minute video about the brand newest announced Paradox interactive grand strategy game Europa Universalis V. Very important though, this is all still work in progress, so don't take things too final and feel free to suggest better solutions or ideas in the comments below. This is also not sponsored by Paradox, so that I could freely decide what to show off in this video. I chose to play as the very tiny Jarldom of Greenland to play the ultimate tall Viking paradise, while of course dodging the Black Death and also restoring the old Vinland colony in 1431.
Be ambitious.
There we go, nice animation there, and you can already see this is how the game looks if you start it up right from the beginning of the country selection. You can see there's lots of information, and I really honestly I can't tell you everything about this game because I have only limited time for this video. So I will be going through my strategy, through my tactics, so what I could do, so what I can't do, and that's the result that you can see right now. I've did several test runs and we're going to see how this resolves in this actual game right now. Anyways, you can see a lot of pop-ups, same as the ones from EU4 that you already know. We are, most importantly, in the age of traditions. But the interesting thing is there is also an age of Renaissance before the age of discovery, so two more ages that have been added to the game, as of course we start like 100 years earlier than EU4. But let's get right into the actual game. You can see we have a lot of stuff. These are the estates over here. We make a little bit of gold, but that will be better once I go for the trade income. So we basically have 3,222 people living in our little colony over here. Now, if you compare that, for example, to the Kingdom of Norway, you can see they have 500,000 people living in their country. For example, Scotland even, they have 250k. But of course you have to keep in mind that all of these nations will be struck by the bubonic plague very soon, so they will lose a lot of this population, while we will try to isolate ourselves and not lose anyone. You see that the diplomatic reputation and the diplomacy works a lot different than in EU4. You can see I have diplomatic reputation of 5.6 right now. Now you're going to see that this is not a static modifier. You can actually spend that on something. You're going to see in a second what I mean by that, but you can also do the same thing with diplomats. You can see I'm getting monthly 0.22 diplomats basically per month, of course. That's what monthly says. But anyways, that means that you have to wait on average right now for around 4 months to get one diplomat that you can then spend on one diplomatic action. So for example, if you want to improve opinion, that will cost you one diplomat if I send one there. I want to, of course, curry favors to then later invite settlers, right? You can see I have 5 diplomats right now. So now once I send a diplomat to curry favors, that will mean that I have 4 diplomats available right now. And that's basically how this system works. It will go up again to basically 5. And then, I have 3 maximum diplomats right now, so I should be spending these. And I will spend the next one on curry favors on Scotland. You're also going to see in a second why. And I'm also going to spend one on doing the same thing with Sweden and with Denmark, as they are both in my culture group. You're going to notice that we are Icelandic culture for 100% and also a Catholic. Okay, I just did my estate setup. You can see the loyalty equilibrium is way above 50. That seems to be very important in this game as well. So that's for that now. And very important, you can have a parliament very easily later once you research a few things. But for now, I want to especially appoint a cabinet member to increase the control in both of my provinces. You can see on the levels of green how high the control is. Of course, I want to get it to 100 everywhere, not just in my capital. And for the second action, as I said, I want to get as many settlers as I can. I will choose to get the diplomatic endeavors, so that will be my second choice. And now you can see that this is an administrative task and this is a diplomatic task. So I need, of course, for the administrative task, a character that has a high administrative skill. Apparently, they are all pretty bad. And same also for the diplomatic action that you can see 35 is really bad, but it doesn't really matter that much. There we go. He will do that and he will right now actually improve the diplomatic reputation a lot because of his skill. You can see this task is basically skill based on what their skills are for that task. But the research is actually interesting, where I can actually decide to what I want to research, and you can see that this is basically working like in Hoi 4, for example, where you have a huge research tree for all of the ages, as you can see: Age of Traditions, Renaissance, Discovery, Reformation, Absolutism, and Revolutions. So that is very interesting. For now, I think I want to actually go down to get more monthly diplomats because of the diplomacy actions that I want to do. And yeah, so I'm just going to click on that real quick. And now you can see that it researches the previous one. But anyways, this means that after that, I will gain even more diplomats monthly, which will be very important for now. There goes the month tick. You can already see that I'm making quite some money right now. This will change through like the months because the trade is automatic. It doesn't really always work out as intended. But yeah, you can see my stability now rises a lot faster. My legitimacy rises a lot faster. My diplomats rise a lot faster. As well as you can already see that my population is now stable at 3k basically. There is a coup attempt, but that really doesn't matter that much because it is based on my legitimacy being so low, and that will change in a few months to the positive. Okay, so this didn't happen before in my test games, but apparently you can see that the disaster of the coup attempt just started, as you can see. I don't really know what I changed, but yeah, I was just very close to reach the 30 legitimacy. Anyways, you can see that this gives me a disaster and a specific option in the disaster. Maybe at least we'll get our own specific ruler then, but yeah, we'll just see how that goes. I think if I go to that right now, yeah, you can see this is now an active incident basically, that each month there is a possible event choice for, there's a possible event that can trigger for a disaster, and I can choose main actions for this disaster as well. Apparently, one of the conspirators has been exposed, which is actually a bad thing because he is my diplomatic cabinet member. So yeah, at least I gained some legitimacy from that. Okay, so the disaster apparently ended. It says with the restoration of legitimacy, but I don't think it's because of the legitimacy. I think it's because I found the conspirator, of course. Anyways, this gives me 20 prestige, so yeah, at least I gained something from that, so that's quite nice. Now also a very interesting thing happened because I gained all of these favors on all of these nations. So I can, for example, go to Sweden over here, or even to one of their subjects. So, for example, the Kingdom of Scania, which I don't know what culture they have, but anyways, I can open the diplomatic actions, friendly actions, and now I can invite settlers from them. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And of course, I'm going to invite them to my capital region of Garde. So there we go. You can see that they will migrate 10 peasants per month, but some settlers at least. And now I can do the same thing for Denmark, for example, and invite settlers to my main province. So there we go. And I can do the same thing for Scotland if they had their subjects still. So they are fighting this independence war. They should win that. They always won it in the last few attempts. So then they will have the Isles as their subject, and they can do that thing on them as well. So I wait on Scotland for that. But also Iceland, of course, I can do it on Iceland because they are subject of Norway, and I can invite Icelandic settlers to my main province as well. And now what you're going to notice is, once I let the month tick by, that now you can see I'm gaining 30 settlers per month, which is not bad at all. And compared, of course, to my current amount of pops that I have. There it happens. Scotland won this war against their rebels. Now, after a month, I can, as you can see, invite settlers from the Isles to my main province. You can see that my main location has 600 settlers now. So we're going to see where this ends up in the end of this video. Now starts the interesting part of this campaign. The Black Death just started in Astrakhan. And yeah, you can read the text over here. It's really very bad stuff that's going on there. Oh my god, also the music is just kicking in apparently. But yeah, you can see that this is a very specific situation that you can choose how to react on that, and you can actually choose all of these things if you want to. Now you can see for now the Black Death only exists in this one province over there, but it will spread very rapidly. Now what I want to do is, first of all, I want to cancel all of my current trades, which I was just importing some masonry for buildings later. But anyways, I'm just going to stop that entirely, so I'm going to do no more trades. And it's also very important that I want to disable the automatic trade over there, so that, yeah, I'm just not using my market capacity right now. But of course, if I were to trade with all of these nations, they would spread the bubonic plague to me, which I of course don't want. Now, in order to prevent other nations from coming to my market by their own choices, I can now isolate the country until I basically no longer want to be isolated. That, as you can see, foreigners are banned from imports and exports. So that's exactly what we're going to do. It costs me 10 stability, but that will basically mean that this entire time of the bubonic plague spreading in Europe, we are completely isolated and we will not care about any of that stuff. And just in terms of the population that I reached right now, of course, there are 9 years that passed from the beginning of the game. You can see that I've already increased my population from 3,000 to 5,000 people, and in my opinion that's already pretty crazy. But also I did that very concentrated onto my capital location, which you can see instead of 600 people has now almost 1,000 people. Okay, so this is it. Apparently, the bubonic plague is still active in these locations over here in Trebizond. The end result is 150 million deaths all around the place, of course, in the entire world. Now, if you compare that to, for example, to the beginning of the game, then you can see that the Kingdom of Norway no longer has 550k, but only 350k population. So basically lost half of their population to the Black Death. While we, as I said, stayed entirely isolated for the entire time, which lost us some money because I couldn't freely trade and make money from trade. But as you can see, our population even growed, as you can see, during the Black Death. We want to no longer be isolated, of course. So I'm just going to do that real quick, just for free. Now what I can do again is set my trading to automatic. There we go. So now we will start making some money again. And what we can, of course, do is we can again ask for settlers. For example, I have still some favors in Scotland, so I can already start asking for settlers from the Isles. Now, as I said, I'm just going to invite settlers, and when something interesting happens, when I probably be able to build my first building, I will, of course, get back and tell you how it goes. Okay, so a few years have passed. You can see it's 1369 already, and I think right now it's time to cash in big times, because you can see I have 10 favors on France and on Castile. And what I can do with those favors is I can ask them for money. And you can see that France over here gives me almost 300 gold just for these favors. So there we go. I'm just now at 343 gold in my bank. And I think I can do the same thing on Castile as well. Okay, I can only do that once every 10 years. Okay, that's what I thought. And yeah, that will be basically my biggest type of income. I'm not sure if I'm getting really lucky here, but look at this parliament debate. This parliament debate, if that passes, it literally makes my capital a town, so a tier 2 location rank. That's the only thing that I was working towards the last almost 50 years, by getting the population to 5,000, because as you can see, normally you have to get the population to 5,000, and you can also see normally it costs 500 gold, which of course takes ages for me to get. So yeah, as it saves me probably another 100 years and also 500 gold, let's do everything that I can to pass this crazy overpowered parliament issue. So there we go, promote urbanization, and the music kicks in because the game knows as well that this is totally broken. My capital is now a town, and that means that I can now build a lot more very interesting buildings. For example, very important for me is the wharf. So the building that actually gives me sailors for once, and yeah, that also allows me to build ships there. So I'm just going to wait until I can afford that, and then finally start building ships in my, very isolated island place. By the way, getting a town actually enabled me an entire new population type and an entire new estate as well, which are the burghers. And you can see I can now have the burghers as well and grant them some stuff as well. An entire new estate that now exists in my country. I'm lucky again with the parliament issues. As you can see, I have now an issue available that allows me to expand the shipbuilding facilities, and you can see that it costs me 50 ducats to do that, but the dock building, I cannot build that right now. It's like unavailable for me. But yeah, if I build it, you can see that gives me plus 20 monthly sailors, and you can see right now I'm gaining like barely 1 per month. So this is an insane boost to my shipbuilding economy. Really crazy stuff that the parliament is offering me in this campaign. So yeah, there we go. Shipbuilding facilities. I'm just going to ask Bohemia for almost 400 gold. And my treasury looks quite well filled right now. So yeah, all I need right now is basically sailors. So it is finally time, after I restructured my buildings a little and removed all the peasants building from my capital. They actually promoted to become soldiers, and therefore I'm now filling the dock that I built via the parliament issue with way more workers. And that allows me to have a maximum of almost 400 sailors available. And that means something very interesting is now available, which is geopolitics and exploration. You can see I can now explore specific regions, and I've never done that before, so we're going to see how this actually works together right now. And I guess these are probably sea regions, and then these are probably land regions. And I of course want to go to North America, right, to reestablish Vinland. And there are a few possible options. Newfoundland over here, which takes 115 months. Labrador, which takes 93 months. Nunavik, which takes 84 months. And then Western Sahara, which I really don't care about that at all. So I think we're just going to go for Nunavik there, because it's the closest, and you can see it costs a lot. It costs 8 gold per month. And sadly, I can't recruit an explorer for that because I have a too low navy tradition. But for now, what I can do is I can spend 250 sailors and 100 gold immediately to start the exploration towards the unknown, as it says. And as I said, I don't know what happens. This is really interesting to see how that works. So there we go. Okay, apparently I can send a character, and I think it's pretty clear that we want to send this guy over here, as he's like way better in everything. Yeah, I think that's definitely the closest one. So we are going to construct that over there. Exploration started. We have started preparing a new exploration in Nunavik. So the exploration is almost finished in preparation. So yeah, you can see it costs a few of those goods. Apparently also liquor, which I'm asking myself what they need liquor for, but whatever. There we go. In a few days that's done. And that means that right now they start exploring the lands of Nunavik, which is in the region of Canada. In the meantime, 10 years has passed since I did it the last time, so I can now ask Hungary for money, which they will almost give me 500 ducats, or 500 gold, sorry. But there we go. Now I have 1.3k gold in my treasury, so that should fund everything that I could ever explore on the Canadian coast. On the next month, so January 1417, it should be the case that this exploration is finished. And yeah, you can see I spent 150 of these of this gold for buildings in the meantime. But yeah, you can see I basically lost like 500, 600 gold for this exploration. So explorations seem to be kind of expensive in this game. Okay, Nunavik discovered. Now, I'm really interested in what I just discovered. Okay, that is a little weird, but also okay. A lot of stuff that I just discovered. No natives apparently, but oh, there are actually some natives in these provinces. You can see 100 population peasants in these provinces. In every one of these provinces, there are exactly 100 of natives, basically. Now, this is the colonial map mode right now. I'm not really sure if there's a colonial range map mode, but you can see these colonies are striped, which probably means that I could colonize them, whereas all the American colonies, they are grayed out, so I cannot send a colonial charter to them. And if you have a look on the naval range map mode, then you can see that all of these locations are not inside my naval range, whereas probably these provinces would be inside of my naval range. So what I'm just going to do is right now, I'm going to start another exploration mission. This time I will choose it to be the Labrador region, which takes actually 10 months longer, which actually is kind of dramatic because it costs a lot of money, as you remember. But in 3 years I can ask for money again. Okay, second try in the next month. That should mean that I discover stuff over here, hopefully. So let's see what it does. Yes, there we go. Labrador was discovered, and hopefully now that is close enough, yes, to start a colonial charter on the American continent. So let's just start that. And we've learned before that you have to have locations with more than 1,000 pops for them to migrate. So I have to do that from my main province. I need apparently some medics over there, which I need to buy. Now the colony will continue to grow, and now you can see that I'm losing population, and that population gets 0.3% of their colony progress per month. And now it finally happened. I have re-established a colony in Vinland, the old Viking colony in North America. And this is in this very icy province that apparently is called Gree. It is one single location, and the way that it worked for the colonization is that apparently the colonization progress is based on the fact that you are basically trying to colonize the entire state of Ikatuluk, which is up until over here. So from this location up to this southern one, this is all one state. So all of these provinces gained some Icelandic population, as you can see. But this one location, which is probably the capital location of the state, gained the most. And now you can see that like 90% of that is Icelandic, because there were like 100 natives in that province before. And once it hit 1,000 population, it became my controlled location, which means right now you can see I have nobles, some clerics in there, as well as I can build buildings. I could even move my capital there. And you can see now that I have one province owned over there, the colony growth is way faster, as there is no longer a negative modifier for no control over the sea tiles, because I have no port or adjacent to that. So I can now get 48 pops per month per location. And once all of these other locations hit 1,000 settlers, I will gain full control over them as well. So that's how the colony system works. And yeah, I think the video is long enough already. So I think this is actually it for today. I really hope you enjoyed that video and the early access of me playing Europa Universalis V and re-establishing the Vinland colony as the nation of Greenland. We started with this province being populated with 600 people. Now it's a town, level 2, and there are 4,300 people living in it. And in total, we had 3,000 people when I started, and now we are at 18,400. So the ultimate playing tall video, basically, as well as colonizing Vinland as the Icelandic Vikings of Norway. So that's it for today. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and we are going to see, as always, on another Monday.